KvK is here again. So today we're going to take a look at the progress that I have made on my account since last time, so that way you guys can see what armies I'm going to run, what my equipment's looking like, and what improvements have I made to my armaments, and what's going to be my upgrade plan now that we've got Wedge 2 landing in the game very soon. Look who just woke up from a nap to come say hi. She said you guys have to like the video. Those are the rules, otherwise she doesn't get any treats. And also consider subscribing down below. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers. Isn't that right, Tiger? She's so sleepy. Anyway, as you guys know, I'm a sponsored partner created with Rise of Kingdoms. So with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. And I'm sorry, Tiger, I gotta put you down. Anyway, as you guys can see, we are in Season of Conquest, Heroic Anthem. We are in the water camp, and we are less than 24 hours away from the first pass opening, which is kind of awkward because I have so many things planned this weekend, but I'm gonna do my best to be here. Anyway, let's jump right into my 5 army lineup. And the first army that we're gonna be taking a look at is, of course, my Sun Tzu Prime with William Wallace. Now, I was kind of going back and forth with myself to decide if I want to run William Wallace as the secondary or if I want to run Liu Che as the secondary, and I'm honestly still undecided, but I'll explain to you why I'm leaning more towards the William Wallace here, because of course, as you guys know, the best pair for William Wallace is of course Sun Tzu Prime, but Sun Tzu Prime's best pair is not necessarily William Wallace. But anyway, as you guys can see, we've got 2 support skills as of this first zone. We have the Queen Tamar of Georgia skill, gives you 10% more normal damage. Of course, this is fantastic for cavalry and for infantry. We're rocking it on infantry here. And whenever you launch a basic attack, you have a 10% chance to reduce the target's attack by 30% for 3 seconds with a cooldown of 5 seconds. That's just a nice little bonus. Really, we just want this for the extra normal damage. Okay, the other skill is from Pericles. This is 10% attack, 10% defense for infantry, pretty basic stuff. And if we take a look at the equipment here, you can see that there have been a couple of upgrades since last KvK. Of course, most notable is the special talent on the helmet here, which is some really nice stuff. We get an extra 4.5% defense and 0.5% of health, so a total of 5% extra infantry stats, which is really nice. And we have the special talent on the gloves here, so another 2.5% defense and 0.5% of attack. So all in all, we have 8% more stats on this set than we did last KvK, which definitely moves the needle. Really nice stuff there. But when it comes to my pincer formation, this of course is my best set of armaments. I do not have any upgrades for this set, technically speaking, and I'll explain that in a minute when we look at my second infantry set. But we of course have airtight, toppler, and rattling. This is all really good stuff for smite damage. And one of the awkward parts about where I'm at right now is my second set of pincer armaments, which we will talk about in a second. But man, this Wedge 2 thing has really thrown a wrench in my upgrade path and sort of what I expected that I would be doing here. Okay, because this was supposed to look different here for this KvK, but I'll explain that in a second. Just as a quick side note, I'm probably not going to be running the Twilight Fall city skin here for the first time. I'll probably go back to my Atlantis skin just because I don't think I'm going to be running any skill damage at all besides Emperor Qin this time around, and it's just not worth having the city skin there just for Emperor Qin. It's like he gets 5% skill damage, or I can get 20% total infantry health spread across 2 armies, right? 10% for my Sun Tzu Prime March and 10% for my second infantry march, which we will talk about now, and that is of course Bai Qi with Liu Che. Now this is a tried and true army. There's really not much to talk about here. We do have the Bjorn Bastion skill for 10% attack, 10% defense. Really just more stats is nice, but again, there's not much to say about the Bai Qi Liu Che, which is one of the reasons why I kind of just left this alone, because Sun Tzu Prime is going to do the heavy lifting for my William Wallace. Taking a look at the second set of gear that we have here, there have been a couple of upgrades. It's a little bit less noticeable, but we do have the special talent on the Eternal Knight now, so that is another 4% defense, 0.5% of enemy health ignored. Nice little upgrade here. And then the other thing that we did was actually get the gold helm of Eternal Empire to 75 out of 100. So the very next time that I refine this, we're going to get even more infantry defense and infantry health here as well with that special talent. So definitely some improvements over here. And then again, we're going to be doing the special talent on the gloves afterwards. So I like the progress here that I've made on this set, even though it's a little bit minor. But moving on to the armaments, this is where we're in a weird situation, because the strategy that I took last KvK is I used Ragnar Scipio as my secondary infantry march. But now that we've got Sun Tzu Prime in the game, I think it's time we run all smite damage. And doing so, I actually didn't have 2 pincer formations set up, but I do have this as my arch formation. Now, originally I was going to convert the Horn of the North over to my single best pincer formation as an inscribed armament. But now I'm in a bit of a pickle here because we have Wedge 2 coming down the pipeline, which means Pincer 2 is definitely going to be coming out at some point. And so I don't really know if I should be converting things from arch formation to pincer formation, because if we get pincer formation 2.0 in like 6 months or something, then it's going to feel really bad. And I know it's like kind of ridiculous to think that far ahead, but like realistically, you get your conversion stones so infrequently in this game that you really can't afford to be wasting 10 of these a pop every time you want to convert something, especially because I also have to plan for Wedge 2, right? Like I'm going to want to have a Wedge 2 set for my Emperor Chin. We'll talk about that in a minute. So it's like I don't know if I should drop literally like 30% of my conversion stones to convert that single armament over to pincer formation, and then it's outdated in 6 months. I got to do it again. Like I don't know, it just feels really bad. Right now, on top of that, if I do that, right, then I also need to build a second pincer set, right? Like this is arch formation, which is suboptimal for a Baichi Liu Che. This is 5% normal damage instead of 10% smite damage. Now the stats are also a little on the low side. We do have basically 3% all damage here, which is nice. Straight to the point is the best inscription here, of course. So yeah, I'm in a bit of a bind here. If we take a look at sort of like, this is kind of my second best pincer set, but of course, if I did use my conversion stone, I would have this that I could move over there, so like it would be a little bit better. So I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place here. And then beyond that, like I could also convert this. Like this has to be converted, right? Like I actually genuinely do not have any use for this anymore, because I'm probably not going to be using skill damage infantry, and if I am, it's not going to be Wedge 1.0, it's going to have to be Wedge 2.0. so like I don't know, my armaments are all over the place, and now it's kind of quite hard for me to plan for the future because of Wedge 2 and because of how rare and hard it is to get conversion stones. And I'm a spender in the game, so I can only imagine how hard it is for free to play and low spenders, unless you're like only running 3 marches or something. So really, I'm gonna have to think a little bit more about this. Honestly, I might just have to bite the bullet, right? Like even though we know certainly pincer 2.0 is coming down the pipeline, it's definitely happening. They've already confirmed we're going to be getting more smite damage formations in the future, right? We already know it's happening. Even though we know that, I kind of feel like I'm gonna have to use conversion stones on some of this stuff, right? Like there's just no point in leaving this on arch formation. There's just no point in leaving this on Wedge 1.0 for infantry, right? Like it's just a waste having them sit there. So even though it's not ideal to be converting to pincer 1.0 right now, knowing that it's going to be power crept at some point, possibly by the end of the year, it's even more suboptimal to leave these things on formations that are basically irrelevant for infantry, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think. Are you in a similar situation? Or if you're not, what would you do in my situation? Would you just convert them and just hope for the best when pincer 2.0 comes around? Hope that I somehow have more conversion stones by then? I'm not really sure, but as somebody who does sort of prioritize infantry marches, I probably should prioritize my conversion stone usage for my infantry marches. So that's kind of where I'm at. You guys can let me know in the comment section below what you think I should do. But with that being said, let's move on to my third army, which of course is my single archer march. This is my Emperor Qin Shi Huang with Zhuge Liang. Now historically, I have used YSG as a secondary to Emperor Qin, but I'm going to be trying to use my Zhuge Liang one more time just to see, you know, realistically, the way that I look at this is, and I've said this in the past, but using Zhuge Liang kind of makes everyone else in your lineup perform a little bit better, but YSG makes your Emperor Qin perform a little bit better. So it really just comes down to what you're looking for. And for me, I think we're going to go with the Zhuge Liang and just rock that, see how it does. Now, of course, we are using 2 support skills. We're using the Herman, the epic Herman Bastion skill. Archers gain 10% attack, 10% march speed. This is fantastic. We really need the march speed on this army. Not that it's like the slowest thing in the world, but Zhuge Liang has none, right? So like we really need that march speed. And then we have the CPO support skill for 10% troop capacity. I didn't really know where to put this, but I figured Emperor Qin is probably going to be my second best or my single best performing march in the open field, and so I might as well have as many troops in it as possible to deal as much damage as possible. I've said this in the past and it goes without saying, but Emperor Qin is kind of kill points on easy mode. You just throw him out there and he just farms AoE kill points. It's kind of ridiculous how good he is. Taking a look at the equipment here, nothing has actually actually changed for my archer march, I feel like it's in a pretty good spot right now, and frankly it hasn't really been my priority over the last couple of months because we just got Sun Tzu Prime, and so I am trying to put a little bit more into my infantry, which I mean, again, as an infantry main, it makes the most sense. Not that I'm not going to get a ton of kill points with Emperor Qin, but that's kind of just where I'm at right now. As you can see, we do have the horn here, which you do not need if you're running Emperor Qin with Zhuge Liang. However, I actually don't have anything else to put here. I mean, I guess I could put like a ancient stratagems or like a silent trial or something. Like, I guess I could do that if I wanted to, but like, I don't know. It just, I'm not really too worried about it. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. This is what my talent build looks like. So I'm not getting any rage from Feral Nature. I'm not getting any rage from Razor Sharp. I have 5 points in Whistling Arrows. So again, I know I don't need it there, but like the only other thing that I could put here would be my Concealed Dagger, which is also like, I mean, I guess technically that would be an upgrade, right? Like if Horn is actually not going to do anything for me, then technically it would be an upgrade to have Concealed Dagger. But again, it's a micro optimization. It really is not going to move the needle very much. And honestly, this thing's going in the garbage. As soon as we get that event that comes around, that'll give me 100% refund on this. It is going away. I don't know what else to do with this thing. So yeah, this thing is getting tossed in the trash over here. All right. And honestly, I don't even know what I'm going to get. If I'm going to get the pendant, the skill damage pendant, or if I should just go ahead and maybe I'll get a 5th horn. I feel like a 5th horn just doesn't make sense, right? I mean, I don't know. The problem with getting the skill damage pendant here is that, I mean, it's kind of only for Emperor Qin. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm in a tough spot there as well. Well, I guess in the future, if there is a archer pairing that does require the horn again, then I could do the skill damage pendant with the horn and then move this ring over to, I guess, my Bai Chi, right? And then move this to my, whatever my second Cav March is going to be, but then they're going to not run a horn, right? So that's kind of where I'd be double dipping on damage. I'd have the ring and the greatest glory, and like I don't know. So all that to say, currently my accessories are in a weird spot. I guess frankly the safest thing would be to get a 5th horn, but like that just feels like overkill, so I'll have to think about that later. But anyway, taking a look at the armaments here, we did actually make some improvements. We now have 10.8% archer attack, which last time we had 9.7, so over a percentage increase there. Last time we had 10.1% defense, now we have 8.5, but we have 2.7% archer health, which we did not have before, and now we have 5.1 all damage, which is the same. So basically all we did here was gain more attack, trade defense for health, which is good, and we got rid of respite and we got boiling blood instead, right? Which is definitely a good trade-off there. 2% boost to skill damage is really nice stuff. So we've got 2 rare inscriptions instead of just 1 this time, and of course we have hunter. So all in all, some nice improvements to the formation, even though there weren't any improvements to the equipment here for my archers. Moving on to my next army, we have Gangnam-chan with Achilles. Now last KvK I ran Achilles primary, which actually worked out really well. Obviously you have suboptimal healing there, but you have the advantage of your 5 target circular AoE, which means it's going to pop way more frequently if you are actually going in and out of battle. I may actually do the Achilles primary when I go into battle, but right now I'm finding Gangnam-chan as primary for Canyon is better. So that's straight up, like, I'm being honest, that's why this is how it is. For actual PvP I might swap this around, but maybe I'll play around with Gangnam-chan primary this time and just see how it does. I've heard it works either way, so I'm not super worried about that. Unfortunately, we have no support skills for cavalry in our starting zone, which is very unfortunate. Although really we've got Pelagius, that's like not even really a cavalry skill, right? Eventually we'll get our hands on Saladin, which is nice, and Chandragupta, but I don't even really have much invested in. It's like at 2, right? So I don't even know. Cavs are gonna have some pretty rough support skills this KvK. But that being said, we did make a couple of upgrades to my cavalry set here. As you guys can see, we now have the special talent on the chest, heavy armor of the hellish wasteland. So now we have an extra 3.5% cavalry health, and we're ignoring an extra 0.5% of enemy health as well. Of course, as we're getting the special talent, we're also gaining more base stats. I haven't been saying that throughout this video, but that is also something to note. And we also have the special talent on the Navarre's control gloves now, so we have an extra 2.5% cavalry health, an extra 0.5% defense, an extra base attack point, which is really nice. So all in all, we have like an extra 7% of stats on this army on top of the base stats, which is really good. Really happy with the progress on the special talents here for this army, honestly. Taking a look at the formation, we actually have the exact same armaments. Okay, so we have Thrasher, Causative, Relentless, so really nice stuff here in terms of the rare and special inscriptions. We also have Assertive and Elite here for some extra damage, literally just 3% all damage. And then we have 9.3% cav attack, 11.5% cav defense, 9.7% cav health, and 1% all damage. So really, I feel like this is in a solid position where I don't feel like there's any single armament that needs like a massive improvement, right? Like obviously the attack here would be nice, but I'm not about to go ahead and use a transmutation crystal just to improve the attack like 1%, not even, when I've got way more important things to be spending those transmutation crystals and stones on. This I think is in a pretty good spot. Now last but not least, my final army we're going to be running here is Arthur with Philip. Now this is almost certainly guaranteed to be my worst performing march in this KvK. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure what to do about that, but honestly King Arthur just always ends up out of position. I don't know what it is. Back in the day it used to be Nevsky Joan, right? It used to be Nevsky Joan that was the fastest march, and it would just always end up swinging out and into the enemy ball and it would get destroyed. And King Arthur with Philip is the new version of that for me. That's my experience. You guys can let me know if you have that experience with King Arthur as well. Also, I feel like the reason that he dies so quickly is just because this commander pairing has no tankiness at all. You have 20% health. That's literally it. There is literally no other tankiness on this march whatsoever. Philip is just giving you attack and march speed, 30% all damage, which is nice. And I'm not saying that's it, not as if that's nothing. I'm saying in terms of tankiness, there's just nothing here, right? You have an instant proc, a rage reduction, you have a rage reduction on King Arthur, you have the 30% bonus to combo damage with King Arthur, but there's just no tankiness on these commanders beyond the measly 20% health on King Arthur, which normally would be a lot of health, but the rest of the kit just does not support it, right? You don't resist any damage or mitigate damage. You don't have any defense. You don't have anything from Philip. Like this is just a super squishy army. Now, as you guys might have seen, my gear is currently on my Hua because he is in my Canyon lineup. The healing on Hua is just kind of goated, so you kind of have to do that when you're running 6 armies for Canyon. But anyway, when it comes to equipment, there are 2 upgrades here. The first being that I did a few months ago, I think maybe it was during KvK, I don't remember exactly, but I did bite the bullet and dismantle my Mora's Web because it just is not, there's no reason to have one. And yes, dismantling legendary pieces historically is just not a good strategy, but it had to be done, right? And now that we know we are going to get 100% back, but it's only for 1 piece, I don't actually feel bad about that because I still have a piece that I need to get rid of, right? So I don't really feel bad about wasting those legendary materials because we were able to get our hands on another Ring of Doom. Unfortunately, it did not proc or get any progress here at all or anything, so it is what it is, but that was definitely an improvement here. And then the boots used to be tier 1, now they're tier 2, so we get an extra cavalry attack percentage point, and that's pretty much it. So small upgrades to this set, although I do think the accessory is definitely notable in terms of an upgrade. And again, we're going to be upgrading this concealed dagger to something else, whether it'll be another horn or something, I'm not really sure. We'll have to wait and see, but that event should be coming around relatively soon, so I'm excited about that. And then when it comes to my second Delta formation armaments, this is what we're rocking with here. Definitely one of the weaker sets of armaments that I have, but it is not horrible, I would say. So 10% attack, 8.8% defense, 4.4% health, but we have the 1.6% all damage, and we have an extra 3.5% defense here on Well Clad, 1% extra damage, 1.5% more normal damage, which again, remember, this is going to be on my King Arthur with Philip. Okay, I know that was right here because again, I'm using it in Canyon, but this is going to be for my combo damage. Okay, this is Delta formation. Then we also have Determined, which is a 1.5% damage resistance, kind of nice, and we have Relentless, 3.5% boost to combo attack damage dealt. So that's what we're rocking with our second set of armaments for our cavalry. In terms of what we have for our armaments, we do have 37 conversion stones, 237 transmutation stones, 4 crystals, and a couple of chests here that we can open up. Maybe the new formation will be in there, maybe not, I'm not really sure. Either way, that's what we're looking at. But honestly, at the time of recording this, we're about 4 days away from seeing the new formation, and I kind of just want to see what what this is before I do anything. I mean, honestly, not that it's going to really change anything. This is certainly going to be an improvement over Wedge 1. So like, I don't really know why I'm waiting, but I'm just curious. What if all the inscriptions have to do with rally or something like that? Like, I know it's unlikely, right? But just, I might as well wait. I do also have 2 fragments right now. So pretty much no matter what, I should be getting a Autarch limited special inscription here. So we'll have to wait and see. I guess Wedge 2, if they do get one here, I hope that they put it in the shop, but historically a lot of times they only put it in shops that show up after the update comes out. So I might kind of get screwed out of that one, but at the same time, like, I already have Hunter on my Emperor Chin, so I could just kind of move this over, right? I think that's probably the best case scenario. And then I don't know, maybe I grab another toppler, right, and then just convert it later. I'm not really sure, but either way, kind of no matter what happens, I'm gonna have to probably spend a good chunk of those conversion stones on my infantry instead of on my archers, because really, I mean, what's my archer conversion gonna cost, right? This will cost 10. This will be what, 3, so that's 16, what, 17? It'll cost 17 to move this entire set to Wedge 2. And like, then there's the question of like, should I even really be spending to convert the non-rares, right? Like, that's another question entirely. But at the end of the day, I can't be using like Arch and then just have this sit here doing nothing. So that's kind of where my conversion zones are probably gonna have to go, even though we've got Pincer 2 coming down the pipeline. But guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Those are the armies that I am currently running in my KvK, and fighting starts tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think about the progress that we made on the account. Honestly, even though there's a lot of confusion as to what I'm going to be doing with conversion stones, I do feel like I've made really solid progress on my equipment. I've gotten 4 special talents and 1 new accessory since my last KvK across my different armies. I feel like that's pretty good. It might even be more. I might be missing something, but yeah, I feel like I've made some really good progress on my equipment over the last few months. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about the account progress and the commander pairings. And while you're down there, consider dropping a thumbs up on the video. It really does help out the channel a ton. And of course, we are so close to 100,000 subs, and you might think you're subscribed because you've seen a couple of my videos, but you're actually not. Double check down below, click that subscribe button, use the new hype feature. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.